Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ultimate Comics Podcast. My name is Nabeel Gaber, and I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Josh, the other host.
And this is the show where usually we'll talk about Ultimate Marvel and imprint of Marvel comics that began in the year 2000 to modernize and reimagine Marvel and its characters for the 21st century. But this is another one of our very special episodes that Josh cooked up for us. This time we're actually talking about a DC property, which we will do half the time, honestly. We're talking about Arrow, the CW DC TV show that ran from 2012 through 2019. So, Josh, want to tell the folks at home exactly what you were thinking when you pitched this to me?
So, different fans have reached out to me. We were doing special episodes every once in a while, like Superman or whenever a new Marvel movie came out. Some fans have reached out to me, told me they really liked those episodes. Some guys at the gym told me they only listened to those episodes. Actually, and also we were always debating like how much do we want to expand from Ultimate Marvel.
Right.
Yeah, and also but we also have fans who only listen to Ultimate Marvel or prefer Ultimate Marvel because we did get fan mail about that.
We have a small but passionate listener base, so thank you to our audience members for letting us know what you like and what you enjoy.
Yeah.
There's the camp that, like you said, Josh, loves our Ultimate Marvel content, and there's the gym bros of yours, Josh, who enjoy our very special episodes that we do on things like the DC animated universe or Harley Quinn.
Yeah, and I will say this. Also, sometimes we just need a break between episodes just because in case one of us didn't read the comic that week or we got caught up with...
Josh.
It's happened a few times, yes, on my end.
Yeah. Also, sometimes it can be pretty restricting doing the same thing over and over again. You know, we love our format. We love talking about Ultimate Marvel, but sometimes we want to branch out.
Yeah, and sometimes we have guests over, and then, like, for part two of the guests, they couldn't make it. Sometimes it's easier just because there's a big event in the world of comic media that we could just, like, we got to do a Supergirl episode real quick.
Right.
But also, every once in a while, I realize we need a couple backup episodes, so we just have a bunch of backup scripts just in case that we, every once in a while, dust off. And this one has been on the list for a while, which is the Arrow universe. It's kind of like Ultimate Marvel, and that's a very contemporary thing. Depending on how you look at it, it's not as influential, but like it was very influential when it was out. It was very, very controversial in the world of comic media, to the point that its fan subreddit became a Daredevil subreddit out of spite for a few years, I believe.
Yes, I remember that very vividly when they became because I was part of that subreddit when we all became a Daredevil subreddit because, God, it was like season 3 or season 4. Everyone was done with it. I think it was season 4. We rage quit for a bit and we just became a Daredevil subreddit.
I got into the show Arrow very late. I was like, oh my gosh, a Green Arrow show? Green Arrow is a fun character. And I was like, what is this? It's like, he's not goofy, he's not fun. You know, Green Arrow is very much in the comics the definition of a class traitor. He's a rich playboy turned liberal/socialist activist who wants to take from the rich, give to the poor. Hence why he's going around dressed as like a green guy with a bow and arrow. Get it? Robin Hood?
Yes. Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, is the definition of a guy who got woke. But at the same time, he did start out just going into the comic book character's history. Green Arrow was originally just a ripoff of Batman in that he had all these gadgets. He was like a rich playboy. He had a kid sidekick. He had like an arrow cave, an aeroplane, an arrow car. Yeah, he was very much almost one-to-one. The only real difference was his bow and arrow gimmick, but he was almost exactly Batman. And it wasn't until the 70s with Neil Adams redesigning Green Arrow, his costume, so he became more like Robin Hood in appearance. And then with the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams Green Lantern Green Arrow series, where he became more of an advocate for social justice and he became very outspoken politically and became the character that people know and love today. And that is going to be very different from the Arrow that we talk about today on the TV show, because Arrow, the show, I have a special place in my heart for it because that is the thing that got me interested in Green Arrow as a character. I wasn't too familiar with Green Arrow. And so funnily enough, I watched the first season of Arrow, I think right after it had had come out like the summer after it had aired. So this was like 2013. And then I started following along when season 2 started airing. And that got me to read the Green Arrow comics. I then realized this is not the same character at all. But I still love Green Arrow as a character in the comics. And I love those comics. So I have Arrow to thank for it, honestly, even if it isn't really much of a Green Arrow show. I enjoyed it, and I'm thankful that it got me into Green Arrow as a comic book character.
The show writing can at times be a little convoluted because the writers, they're CW writers, and so they will just lose track and make it a CW romance show, which is what everyone complains. Like, so he doesn't go by Green Arrow in the show; he goes by Arrow, and then he dies, and then he needs to bring back Green Arrow, so he calls himself Green Arrow again and comes back as like a ripoff of his own guy.
It's so stupid. All
Yeah,
right, I'm just going to get into how that crazy that is. Because in the first season, yeah, they either call him the Hood or the Vigilante. And there's a joke at like the dinner table when Oliver's at a party and someone's like, hey, how about Green Arrow? And Oliver's like, lame. And I'm like, okay, you're just going to trash your comic book origins like that. And
yeah.
then second season, like you said, Josh, he starts being known as the Arrow. And then, yeah, after he fakes his death, we'll get into it as we dive into it. But yeah, the Arrow, quote unquote, dies. Also, I should just say spoilers if you haven't seen the show Arrow. And if you have, I feel your pain because I have plenty of ups and downs with this show. But yeah, anyways, Arrow dies and then comes back in the fourth season, becomes the Green Arrow. And people still think that these are two separate people when it's clearly just the same guy.
They do the same voice.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, the Arrow's dead. Who are you? You can't be the same guy. He's like, I'm the Green Arrow. He's like, oh, snap. The Green Arrow? What a totally different guy. Same voice, same face, same gimmick of bow and arrows, whatever. I
Yeah.
guess they're different.
I do like the thing where instead of domino masks, because that is something like live action comic media has said, like, no, we struggle with the domino mask. We don't know how to do it. They just get like the football black paint and just paint it over the eyes and the nose so they look like raccoons, but it works.
Yeah, the appearance of the vigilante slash hood slash arrow slash green arrow evolves over the course of the show, which is
Yeah.
interesting. I like how Oliver Queen throughout the Arrow series kind of changes and adapts and grows as a hero and as a vigilante, just as a
Yeah.
person, which
Yeah.
I really drew me to the character and to the show.
Yeah. And they did the Batman thing of like hiding the voice. But it's kind of funny because every character who tries to become a vigilante does the same thing with the black face paint and the voice. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, and I'm just going to get this out of the way. When I say Arrow at times is a really good show, it's still not a good Green Arrow show because this clearly was meant to be a Batman show. Like the way they characterize Oliver Queen, Green Arrow in this is very much he's basically Batman.
Yeah.
And there are several storylines that highlight this. But yeah, they were going for a very dark and gritty tone with this show, which I very much appreciate. And it's a very grounded street level superhero drama. And I think it was very explicitly inspired by the Dark Knight trilogy, which had just finished up, because this series started airing in 2012, the same year that the final film in the Dark Knight trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises, came out. So people were still riding that high in the public consciousness. People were still going on about how great the Dark Knight trilogy was. So I don't know what prevented them from making a Batman show, but they're like, we're doing a Batman show, but with Green Arrow.
It's a thing with DC, and Marvel has it too, famously, of like their TV shows, and they're always want to do something, and then like studio, because they're like, no, you can't do that. You'll confuse people. So
Yeah. And that happened quite a few times in the show's history that we'll get into, and it did the show no favors.
Also, it's funny you're talking about Dark Knight after The Odyssey aired. Another Chris Nolan movie.
Yeah, I have yet to see it. I really want to see it. I hear it's great.
I've been told by some people, by the news, that it's like Chris Nolan's best work ever, which I could believe, but also I'm like, hey, I looked at the time run. It's 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Pretty standard, considering he did Oppenheimer, which was also 3 hours.
It is?
Yeah.
I can't believe I held my pee in for 3 hours for the Oppenheimer.
You must have been glued to your seat. He must have been captivating you.
Fun fact, so my friend and I, we did a thing where like every single time Einstein or a famous quote was said in Oppenheimer, we clapped, which in the first time that happens when there's a famous quote in Oppenheimer is that nude scene with Florence Pugh. So the theater thought we were clapping at the nude scene. So every single time there was a scene with nudity, the whole theater started clapping. There were like women.
You started that?
We didn't mean to start it, but a few people brought their wives or daughters or whatever to watch watch the show, and you could just see their faces were so annoyed at all these men just clapping whenever there was nudity on screen.
Jesus. So you just looked like a bunch of misogynists who were clapping whenever a naked woman came on screen?
We only clapped once when there was a naked woman. The rest of the theater thought we clapped because there was nudity, and they joined in. And so every
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
yeah,
You inspired such a bad trend in that movie.
we didn't mean to, because we clapped whenever like Einstein or a famous quote was in the movie, and they clapped whenever there was nudity in the movie.
We are not the same.
We are not the same. Theirs is a little funnier just because it pissed off so many people. Yeah.
Well, getting back to Arrow, this
Yeah.
show honestly had like pretty good first couple of seasons. I gotta say, the first two seasons of Arrow are still rock solid in my mind. I mean, obviously, there's still like the CW drama that they do, like the relationship stuff that's kind of eye rolly, but what
Yeah.
CW show doesn't have that, honestly? Arrow also came, it's worth saying that it showed up right after Smallville had ended, because Smallville was really the first quote unquote CW show, even though this was before it was called the CW. By the time it ended, the network was called the CW. I think UPN and WB had merged, but Smallville aired from 2001 till 2011, and then 1 year later, in 2012, Arrow started.
Smallville is a very controversial show in the comics fan circles, I feel. And also, CW is also like you get all these beloved DC characters and you turn them into all horn dogs. Same thing with Arrow, actually.
Yeah, because there's so much relationship drama in this show, and it just can't be avoided because that's the CW. It feels like they mandate there's got to be copious amounts of relationship drama. Everyone also has to be the most beautiful person you've ever seen, and everyone's got to be ripped, and they are also all super horny.
Yeah. Though, DC once made a joke about, not CW, but like their characters being horny, which their DC characters are actually less horny than Marvel at times, but where someone made a joke was like, you mean if you're like super fit and you're surrounded by a bunch of Olympians, you're not gonna like,
That's true.
horn dog off?
I mean, honestly, fair point.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's ripped. There's a lot of workout and shirtless scenes, but it's also really interesting because a lot of the cast was from Spartacus. Interestingly enough,
Yeah, definitely. You got quite a few cast members from Spartacus, which is pretty cool.
But talking of relationship drama, we're gonna go more into it once we introduce Felicity.
Oh God.
Here's what I wrote for the script. So Katrina Law plays Nisa Al Ghul, who is married to Oliver and in love with Katie Lotz's Sarah Land / Black White Canary, who herself is in a relationship with Oliver.
Yeah. If you just draw like a chart or a diagram of all the people who have slept together and look at the overlapping parts, it's insane.
Yeah.
The relationship drama is so real. Everyone has kissed or dated everyone.
It's like those polyamory circles where everyone has like the same disease because, they all banged each other.
The whole premise of the show starts off very interesting because it does give him the Green Arrow origin where Oliver Queen is the rich, spoiled playboy who really doesn't care about anyone but himself. And then he's shipwrecked with his father who dies, and he's stranded on this island, and he's gone missing and presumed dead for 5 years. And the series starts with him being found and returning to life in what is initially called Starling City for whatever reason. I don't know why they didn't just start off calling it Star City, but whatever. That's what they just didn't care. But
like Starling, like the bird.
Exactly. And the thing is, then the show's format is it shows him acting as this vigilante by night. It's very much still inspired a lot by the Dark Knight trilogy because he plays the Oliver Queen rich playboy persona, similarly to how Christian Bale will play the Bruce Wayne rich playboy persona in the Dark Knight trilogy. And then at night, he's this dark, brooding vigilante who will be known as the Arrow, but is just known as like the Hood or the Vigilante. And the only difference between him and Batman is that he kills people, which is an interesting twist.
But it is a thing where Green Arrow will kill people in the comics. He's shooting arrows at people. So
I mean, occasionally he's been known to kill people, but when he does, it kind of fucks him up. From what I've read in the comics,
like Batman has the no-kill rule. Green Arrow doesn't, but he will try not to kill. But he will kill if push comes to shove.
If he has to, yeah, definitely he will. And the thing is, this show's format then shows flashbacks to the 5 years that Oliver was stranded on the island. So you slowly see him becoming the vigilante or the Arrow, which is pretty cool and interesting. And I love the whole format there. I love seeing the flashbacks and seeing him go from spoiled playboy to hardened, brooding vigilante.
Yeah.
But it very much also has the similarities to, in the Dark Knight trilogy, Bruce Wayne was missing for 7 years learning to become Batman. It's very Batman Begins in that way as well. But
Oh,
it's also similar, I would say, him being stranded on the island, especially in the first season's flashbacks to Green Arrow Year One by Andy Diggle and Jock, which is a great origin story. That is like the origin story for Green Arrow in the comics,
yeah.
honestly.
But unlike Batman, I haven't read Year One, but Oliver could have returned, we learned, at any point. Because he was traveling around the world. He was like basically a secret agent for the US government, for Argus.
Yeah, I mean, the flashbacks do go off the rails at a certain point, because then he does reveal in the second season, I wasn't always on the island. Because the first 5 seasons, of course, one season for each year, shows the flashbacks. And at a certain point, I'm like, what are we doing here,
Yeah,
guys?
you were getting paid by the US government to torture people. Like, you were trained by Argus to torture people. You could have hopped home to Star City anytime.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm like, what is going on?
Uh,
But that goes along with a lot of the rest of the show that does jump the shark as well.
yeah. It also does the Gotham City thing, which is like there's some truth in real life. Some place where the city is divided between different ethnic gangs. You got the mafia, the old-fashioned Italian mafia. You got the
Yeah.
yakuza, the triads, the
Hmm.
other gangs, the street gangs. Yeah,
And the big thing with this version of the Hood, or I'll just call him Green Arrow because to me he's just Green Arrow. This version of the character, he's going after one percenters, real rich scumbags in the first season that are on this list that his father handed to him, and he's taking them down one by one. That's the premise, that's the launching point from when he first returns home in the first season. So in that sense, he is pretty similar to comic book Green Arrow in that he's going after rich scumbags and taking down one percenters. So that's pretty cool.
Oliver Queen would support taxing the rich in the comics.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
you would. But there's other elements that make him separate. I'd say he's got his sister, Thea Queen, who is introduced.
yeah,
And she's a pretty interesting character because I think she's meant to be kind of a nod to Mia Dearden in the comics because Thea's her mother's maiden name, Moira's maiden name is Dearden. So I think like it's a nod to Mia Dearden, who's Speedy in the comics, and
yeah.
Thea's nickname is also Speedy that Oliver gives her. So I
She
think that's
also
pretty funny.
becomes Speedy, like not just her nickname. Her she also becomes Speedy slash Red Arrow later down the
Yeah,
line, I
she's
believe.
like, I want to be called Red Arrow, and Oliver's like, I told everyone to call you Speedy already.
That's a dick move.
But the first season has so many cool comic book references and characters. The Huntress plays an interesting role, slash romantic interest, slash femme fatale.
Played by Jessica DeGal.
Yes.
Yeah,
And she's pretty cool. Then you've got Roy Harper, who then becomes a recurring and then series regular character on the show. So you bring him in. You've got villains like Deadshot, Count Vertigo, Firefly. And I think also Oliver has his best friend Tommy Merlin, who's kind of like the Harry Osborn, I would say, of this. So it is a little Spider-Man in that sense because also Dinah Laurel Lance, the Black Canary. I'll get into how Black Canary is done dirty throughout this whole show, but Dinah Laurel Lance, who just goes by Laurel for whatever reason, she's very much like Rachel Dawes in the Dark Knight trilogy here. And she is a lawyer.
there's a district attorney, I believe.
Yeah. And the whole premise is that Oliver, when he left on this boat, he left with Laurel's sister, Sarah, and he was cheating on Laurel with her sister.
Because he's a horn dog.
Yeah, and the ship went down and Sarah died. And so Oliver comes back and Laurel's like, fuck you, but also I still kind of love you. So it's this really weird, like, I would be so pissed if I was her too. It was
Yeah.
insane. There's a love triangle too because while Oliver was away, Tommy and Laurel hooked up. And then throughout the season, Tommy and Laurel develop a relationship. But Tommy's kind of jealous because he feels like Laurel might still have feelings for Oliver. So it's a lot of CW romance drama. It's very much like Peter, Harry, and MJ from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah.
We also get introduced to, this is in the first season pretty early on, we get a recurring character out of Felicity Smoak. who is not a character who's really big in the comics. She's like a very small time character in the original comics. She's like Firestorm's stepmother or something. She becomes a breakout star on this show though, because she's introduced like Lucius Fox in the Dark Knight trilogy, where she like provides him with a lot of intel and gadgets and tech support. But at first she doesn't really know exactly what he's doing, and he's making up all these phony excuses as to like why he needs certain things. So it does very much play up like that dynamic between Bruce Wayne and Lucius Fox in the Dark Knight trilogy.
If Bruce Wayne was also secretly lusting over Morgan Freeman and needed to bone him and was thinking,
Well, in the first season, let's be fair, it feels more like Felicity has a crush on Oliver and Oliver's apathetic to it. He really
yeah,
just does not care.
yeah,
And the main villain of this season is Tommy Merlin's father, Malcolm Merlin, who is like the Dark Archer here. Played beautifully by John Barrowman. He gives a wonderful performance here.
yeah. You know, John Barrowman, the joke was if he wasn't Doctor was he doesn't age, and you could definitely see he's aged a lot in the show. He's
Yeah.
aged. He's like you packed on. Well, it's been like a few years since I saw you last on TV, man. You packed on a decade or two, but you look
Yeah.
great at that age. But still,
Hey, I mean, he's still a beautiful man.
yeah, he's back. He was back in Doctor Who for a bit.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool. Well,
yeah,
that's where he earned his fame. But
yeah,
yeah, Merlin, who is like one of Green Arrow's worst enemies, if not his arch enemy in the comics, he's given
yeah,
the name Malcolm Merlin here, and I
yeah.
think they give that to him in the comics afterwards. I'm going to talk about Diggle later, but Diggle is also introduced, and he is Oliver Queen's bodyguard, who then finds out that he's the Arrow, and then the two of them become kind of like partners, and Diggle becomes his conscience
Yeah.
throughout the whole thing, which is cool. And I
His
love Diggle, and I'm going to go on a whole rave and rant about how much I love Diggle later.
he's also really ripped because he's also shirtless alive, and he
Yeah,
also, just like everyone else, has relationship problems because he gets his ex-wife pregnant. So
he does not get his. Well, yeah, he does. Never
exactly,
mind.
yeah, yeah, fuck you. And at one point, because of some weird time shenanigans, they changed the gender of the baby too.
Thanks, Barry. That's Flashpoint's thing. Anyways, Flashpoint changes the gender of his baby. Yeah.
I was also gonna say Oliver owns a club, which is a standard like vigilante thing in media. Is that like he operates out of a dark club that he owns and it's a cover. And I'm like, you don't need to do that. He already has a massive company, but
The club's also called Verdant, which is funny
yeah,
because green.
yeah.
The first season, though, ends on a huge cliffhanger. They actually lose the big fight. Malcolm Merlin's plan destroy the Glades. The poorest section of town succeeds, and Oliver's best friend Tommy dies, which is a very sad ending to the first season, but a really good, shocking cliffhanger. And then season two, things really start to change because the Hood becomes the Arrow, and the Arrow develops a no-kill rule honoring his friend Tommy's memory because Tommy found out that Oliver was the vigilante and really detested and despised the fact that he was out there being a murderer. So the whole season's plot is really about the Arrow, becoming more of a hero than just a straight up killer, and more about saving lives than just checking names off a list. And so he starts going by the Arrow.
He also tortures people regularly throughout the show. Not like, oh, he just did this in the past. As Green Arrow, he does just outright torture people, which I'm more uncomfortable with him torturing people than killing people.
Yeah, that's true. Torture, in a sense, is worse.
Yeah, because it's also not just like, oh, he tortures the bad guy. Like, he just tortures people like semi-innocent security guards for information. And I do like the fact that they, in the show, they do point out, like, a lot of people find that, like, the worst part about him. It's like,
Yeah, the Flash criticizes him for that later.
yeah. It's like, that guy knew nothing. He was just a guy at a
Yeah,
warehouse.
and you're like torturing him for no reason.
And also, isn't it shown that in real life torture doesn't work that well? So, I don't know
Yeah, that's
why.
true.
Yeah.
And I think that delves a lot into the psychology of Oliver Queen in this show. And I think he does have like an addiction to violence, an addiction to killing and torture. And so I
Yeah.
think that gets delved into in an interesting way, especially in season 5.
Yeah.
But the second season antagonist, the big bad of that season, is Deathstroke,
Yeah.
played wonderfully by Manu Bennett, who was also in Spartacus.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you seen Spartacus?
No, I just know he was in Spartacus.
Yeah, I see a bit of Spartacus. It's a very horn doggy show, but everyone's ripped in it.
Yeah, they'd have to be for all that nudity.
I was also gonna say Deathstroke is super soldier serum. I forgot what it was called. It has like a very specific name.
The Mirakuru.
Yeah, it's fun because it's an Imperial Japanese super soldier serum. And let me say
Yep.
this. I'm really tired of like whenever there's like a bad guy and they're after secret technology, it's always by the Soviets or the Nazis. I'm like, the Japanese fascists are right there too. They did a bunch of fucked up shit with science.
Yeah, they did. It's
Yeah,
called Mirakuru.
yeah. They try to make it
Yeah.
in real life. It's a real thing, by the way.
Dang, that's
They
crazy.
they yeah they try to make it in real life, and we don't know much of. We know a bit because it's kind of like Operation Paperclip. We did the same thing with Japanese scientists, where we pardoned a lot of them and gave them jobs in universities to make us weapons.
Love it.
That's how we find a lot of the cures for frostbite. By the way, is the Japanese found it in World War II by torturing people. But yeah,
Yeah, so torture does work and sometimes.
well, it's not for information. It's specifically to figure out how much you could freeze limbs off and how to reattach them. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this show, I think the show's best season is honestly Arrow season 2,
Yeah.
because then you get this really personal connection between Oliver and the Big Bad this season. Deathstroke, because Slade is Oliver's mentor in the flashbacks in the first 2 seasons on the island when they meet, and they become kind of a team and a family with the two of them, and Shadow.
Yeah.
And Shadow is actually an interesting character in the comics because she's this badass, like, archer assassin. And Shadow does teach Oliver how to use a bow and arrow in the flashbacks too, which is really cool. And so I think the intersection and the parallels between the present day and the flashbacks in season 2 make it just so chef's kiss perfect. And we get so many like fun introductions that expand the world of the Arrowverse, because like the League of Assassins are introduced in the second season. They
Yeah.
name drop Ra's al Ghul for the first time. They bring in the Suicide Squad. Sarah Lance also is revealed to be alive, and she shows up in the flashbacks and the present day, and she is the original Black Canary in this show, which is badass.
She's played by Katie Lotes, who got ripped for this show as well.
Yeah, and I love Katie Lutz. I think she's amazing, and I think she does such a good job in this role.
Yeah.
And then they also bring in villains like the Doll Maker shows up for an episode. You got Cyrus Gold, who in the comics becomes Solomon Grundy. Then you have Brother Blood is a pretty big villain in this season. The Clock King makes an appearance. Even in the flashbacks, Dr. Anthony Ivo is a villain that they go up against, and they take his ship, this freighter called the Amazo, which is a reference and an Easter egg to the Amazo, the robot he makes in the comics that can like duplicate all the powers of the Justice League.
Yeah.
And midway through the second season, they introduce Barry Allen, who then becomes the Flash at the end of his 2-part appearance when he returns to Central City. And Barry Allen is the one to give Oliver his mask for the first time, because before he's just wearing his outfit with green grease paint on his face, but now he's actually got a domino mask on.
I never liked the domino mask. I always wonder how they stick and everything. Like, they never really explain it, do they?
I mean, it's kind of like he wears it like it's tied around his head, you know?
Like a ninja.
Yeah.
So I remember when Barry Allen was introduced, there was all this news to me about like, oh, will he be the Flash?
I'm like, duh.
Yeah, and then the other question, this one writer was like, I don't think the Flash will be a good show, because I don't think Grant Gustin has the makings of a main character. He's more of a side character.
And that's only because they just knew him as like one of the villains in Glee, and he played Sebastian. But Grant Gustin does a great job. He brings plenty of bright, like cheery, optimistic energy that balances out the dark and broodiness of Stephen Amell's Oliver Queen.
Yeah.
And what's also cool about season 2 is by the end of season 1 of Arrow, Team Arrow had officially formed. So Felicity was brought into the fold. So it was Oliver, Diggle, and Felicity, which was really cool to see as this team. And then by the season 2, then you add on Roy Harper gets brought into the fold as part of the team. And then Sarah as the Canary becomes part of Team Arrow. So it's fun seeing that formation. It's a cool group of heroes. And my favorite episode of the series, hands down, comes in season 2, which is The Promise. Mm-hmm. And this is an episode where once a season, they'll do like an episode that is primarily focused on the flashbacks, which is cool. And in this one, it's when Oliver, Sarah, and Slade go to take the freighter from Ivo. And you see Oliver becoming the Arrow really for the first time. You see him training. You see him doing like a proto-salmon ladder that you see him do in the present day. You see him training to be a better archer. You see him do the thing where he shoots the flaming arrow at this pile of wood for the first time and light a signal flare. You see all this cool stuff, and then you combine that in the present day where you see Slade come to the Queen mansion and intimidate Oliver, and you see the tension of he's there threatening Oliver's mom and his sister, and it's intense because then Team Arrow has to unite to try and keep him at bay.
Yeah.
It's my favorite episode.
Yeah.
And then season 2 of Arrow also sadly kills off Oliver's mother Moira near the end of the season, and it's such an intense, such a beautifully acted scene. Susanna Thompson, who plays Moira Queen, is such a great actor. This episode destroys me whenever I rewatch it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, and you say there's no build up to the Felicity romance at this point, no?
Here's the thing, because season 2 ends with them tricking Slade because Slade has this Marikuru, this soldier serum in him. And to trick him into giving him the cure, Oliver tells Felicity that he's in love with her and she has to stay safe. Then what really happens is Slade abducts Felicity because he has security footage in the Queen Mansion and has heard Oliver say this. Then Felicity, when in captivity, then injects Slade with the Mirakuru cure, and it's revealed it was all a ploy so that Slade could abduct Felicity and she could cure Slade. That's smart. That's really cool. That's playing with the audience's expectations, because season 2 has like hints of like maybe there's something between Oliver and Felicity, like maybe there's tension, maybe it's like romantic or sexual tension. And we start off season 3, and by the first episode of season 3, suddenly they are madly in love with each other. And I'm like, what? Did I miss something? Because like he asks her out and they go on a date in the first episode. And I'm like, okay, let's see where this romance goes. And all of a sudden it's so melodramatic, it's so CW, and I'm like, what did I miss? How are they suddenly just in love? What's happening? And the whole from season 3 onwards, the show really goes downhill, because then you got all the Felicity romance.
I will, for better or for worse, this is like a weird defense. I will defend the showrunners. A lot of the viewership and money from that show came from shippers, and also CW,
Yes.
Unfortunately, is like a very teen drama, horn dog, really fit teen, young people going at each other. It's always been the vibe of CW, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of the money was coming from the Felicity shippers. It was to the point that Katrina Law, who played Nisa Ogul, whenever she would see Oliver's character in person, she would call him husband because she would get like threats from fans. She thought it was hilarious.
There were a lot of shippers online, especially on Tumblr.
Yeah.
Who shipped Olicity, which was about Oliver and Felicity. And the shipping went hard, especially in season 2. And by the time season 3 started, Greg Berlanti and Andrew Kreisberg, 2 out of 3 of the showrunners for Arrow, went to The Flash when it started so they could help shepherd that into its beginnings and start the show. And so Mark Guggenheim was the sole showrunner of season 3. And he just caved to the Olicity shippers, and he's like, let's give them what they want.
That was the majority of the show. I don't know how they got in. It's kind of like finding out, like, hey, Tumblr really got into Loki, and I'm like, how did you guys discover this? When did the teenage young lady shippers all find this?
It's crazy, but it happened. And the thing is, the problem is that these guys didn't know how to write romance.
Yeah.
And you can tell because anytime a character became the love interest on this show, they became insufferable. Because like the first season, Laurel was the main love interest, and I could not stand Laurel at times.
Yeah.
She was so annoying. And the third season, Felicity becomes the love interest. She goes from like this fun comic relief / like tech person to like one of the most insufferable, annoying characters ever. And it's because she's made into the love interest, and she's made to be whiny and crying over Oliver all the time. And I'm like, what happened? Because I remember before the season finale of season 2, people on the Arrow subreddit were speculating what's going to happen. And they're like, if Felicity dies, we riot. And I was right there with them. By season 3, especially by the end, we were like, fuck this. We hate Felicity.
It's funny. They got violent, the shippers. They would threaten actors for like the other characters.
Yeah. If anyone threatened their precious Olicity ship, these Tumblr shippers would be rabid and like just spewing hate at people online. It was vitriolic and so toxic.
The other thing I don't get is, like, I'm not gonna say like the actress for Felicity was like bad looking or anything, because like that's mean and that's not true. But like every character became horny for Felicity as well.
Yeah, everyone kept praising Felicity and saying how great she was all the time.
And how they want to bang her. Or maybe that was just Sarah, but
maybe. Well, Sarah's a notorious horn dog in canon, so
she wasn't originally. Then like at one point they just go, actually, I don't know if it's like this anti-weird, oh, all bisexuals are horn dogs or something, which is not true. But they just turned into a massive horny horn dog.
I mean, yeah, it's Sarah. I love Sarah, especially on Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Sarah Lance is so much fun, and she's just a chaotic bisexual, and I love her
yeah.
for that.
Yeah, but you get the first hints of it in the show where she started horn dogging after Felicity because they're like, actually, everyone has to want to bang Felicity.
I mean, I think she just called her cute. I don't think she was horn dogging after her.
I think she was horn dogging after her. It's kind of
Well,
like if you watch House of the Dragon, everyone's horn dogging after the queen for some reason, even the other queen. And I'm like, both of you guys had like 7 children put together. Really?
well, unfortunately, at the very end of the first episode of season 3, Sarah is the one who's killed, and there's like a mystery who done it because Sarah was shot with a bunch of arrows and she falls off a rooftop and dies. And there's a whole mystery for the first. Why is that funny?
It's just fun the way it's described. Shot with a bunch of arrows and falls off a roof and dies. It's
That's
so
what
extreme.
happened.
It's
Play
so
it back.
extreme.
That's what happened. Play back the footage, roll the tapes,
Yeah.
check the tapes, and they do this whole whodunit mystery for the first half of the season. The resolution's pretty unsatisfying because then, at the same time, at the end of season 2, Thea found out that her real father is Malcolm Merlin, who had an affair with Moira.
Because even the old people are fucking horny in this show.
Even the old people are horn dogs. And Thea gets a massive glow up in this season. She trains with Merlin, she becomes an expert fighter, and honestly, she was pretty annoying in the first 2 seasons, but she becomes a really great character in season 3. She matures a lot. Unfortunately, it is revealed by the midway point of season 3 that Merlin, I guess, drugged Thea and brainwashed her into killing Sarah in order to manipulate Oliver to fight the League of Assassins. It's all convoluted, and it's such an unsatisfying resolution to this mystery. I'm like, that's why you killed Sarah? So you could get Oliver to challenge Ra's al Ghul for head of League of Assassins?
It's also, you introduce a thing of like every single time someone dies, you can just resurrect them from the Lazarus pit.
Yeah, this is when it gets pretty shady.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in season 3, and season 3, again, plot-wise, it really goes downhill because after Sarah gets killed, then Laurel starts training to be the Black Canary.
With Wildcat.
Yeah, with Wildcat.
Who isn't old.
Yeah, Wildcat is young because he can't be old. It's the CW, Josh. He's got to be young and hot. All right? Get with it. Get woke, son. You want an old, seasoned veteran of the JSA? Fuck you. It's the CW. He's got to be young and hot. He can't be a father figure to Laurel. But yeah, Laurel eventually becomes Black Canary in this season, and she gets her ass kicked a lot, which I'm like, fair. I feel like you couldn't just suddenly become a badass Black Canary overnight, but it's not the Black Canary we know from the comics, that's for sure. And this season also introduces a bunch of new characters like Cupid, Brick is introduced, a new version of Vertigo is introduced, and also we get Ray Palmer, played by Brandon Routh.
Who played Superman.
Yes, who played Superman in Superman Returns. He's not really Ray Palmer here, because I think they originally did want Ted Kord for this, and you can tell they really wanted Blue Beetle, I think, instead of the Atom. Also, the Atom's whole thing is he shrinks, but his suit in this show makes him more like Iron Man.
I think it was because they were going to make a Blue Beetle movie, but they made it like a decade after Arrow finished, though, so.
Yeah, so they're like, wait, we're developing a Blue Beetle movie. Don't do Ted Kord, it'll confuse people. Call him Ray Palmer. That'll fool them.
He does shrink in Legends of Tomorrow, but I do like when he came out, everyone made the joke, oh, this is what we all feared Ant-Man would be.
Yeah, literally. Thank God he actually shrunk in Ant-Man.
Yeah, there's a good scene where Felicity Smoak dating Ray Palmer. Oh yeah, I forgot. She starts dating him too, because everyone has to date everyone,
Because that also introduces romantic tension, because now Oliver's like, oh, I love Felicity, but I can't be with her because I'm the Arrow, and now she's dating Ray Palmer because I couldn't be with her. Oh, CW drama bullshit.
Yeah, but also she literally goes like, oh, it's like Barry in Oliver's body.
She says that on The Flash when she goes there, because there's sparks at first between Barry and Felicity when he first appears on Arrow.
It seems everyone's just horny for Felicity, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I see Barry and Felicity more than I've seen Oliver and Felicity. I'm like, why Oliver and Felicity?
Don't like Barry and Felicity. If you're gonna ship everyone, at least do the Barry ship with Iris, because at least people know that.
Hey, I love Barry and Iris, and I don't hate her like the way so many of the fans hate Iris. You want to know why? Because I
Why?
had to deal with fucking Felicity.
Iris, I watched Flash. Iris had it worse. At least it's somewhat reasonable. I will say that.
Yeah, she's not Felicity Smoak, one of the most obnoxious, insufferable romance characters in
Yeah.
television history.
Yeah, because Iris at least you kind of get the Breaking Bad thing where you go like, yeah, she's annoying, but like if in like a out remove it from that, like her thoughts are like they make perfect sense. Like yeah,
Yeah,
like a wife would not want their husband to dress in red tights running around the city all day.
and they wouldn't want their husband to go out and cook meth. But speaking of The Flash, yeah, we get our first crossover episode with The Flash in season 3, and it's a really fun episode. And
Yeah,
it really starts this trend of the CW shows where most of the time episodes are just okay, and all of a sudden all the writers get together and lock in whenever there's a crossover,
this
and
is
they
where the
make a
money's
kick-ass
at.
hour of television. Yeah, they're like, all right, we got to bring our A game. It's crossover time. It's time to bring in the viewers.
I don't like this thing where everyone on the team goes like, yeah, Oliver could totally kill Barry, and I'm like, dude, Barry on villain drugs is beating up Oliver pretty badly. And towards the end, I think they acknowledge that, like, no, at a certain point, Barry is just so much better than Oliver in later seasons in terms of strength.
He's also got superpowers, and Oliver does not. I don't know how this is a conversation. Again, this is the whole Batman v Superman thing, which is what they do on the CW. They make, for all intents and purposes, this is their Batman and Superman. Green
Yeah,
Arrow is their Batman, and Flash is their Superman. At
yeah,
least the Flash is actually more like the Flash, and they don't just give him all the Superman characteristics and traits.
yeah.
But you know what I mean.
I mean, the Batman versus Superman thing is different because Batman always has prep time. He can make those kryptonite bullets or kryptonite batarangs.
Yeah, well, later on, you'll see that Oliver has kryptonite arrows. So,
What?
yeah,
Wait, why?
because he's the CW's Batman. That's why.
But who is he fighting that needs kryptonite?
Just in case. Well, there is the Nazi crossover later on where they fight Nazi Supergirl.
Oh yeah,
Anyways, halfway through season 3, there's a massive cliffhanger because Oliver fights Ra's al Ghul in a trial by combat in place of Thea, since Thea killed a member of the League of Assassins, and he's stabbed by Ra's al Ghul and kicked off a mountain, which is a huge cliffhanger, and you're like, oh shit. And the first few episodes coming back after that, it's cool to see Team Arrow just on their own for a bit, seeing what they do without Oliver. Laurel becomes the Black Canary. Then it's like Roy and Diggle and Felicity and figuring out what to do. It's cool to see, and they go up against Brick and everything, but then Oliver comes back in like such an unsatisfying way. Everyone was like, oh, he's gonna be put in the Lazarus pit and brought back. Nope. He was just nursed back to health by Katana, who was also introduced in this season
yeah,
in the flashbacks where he goes to Hong Kong in this season, and also in the present day because obviously she knows him from 5 years before. And I'm
yeah.
like, that's it? She just nurses him back to health with herbal tea and penicillin? He was stabbed in the chest and kicked off a mountain. What do you mean?
It's the Orientalist magic, man.
I guess, yeah, I don't know. The rest of the season's just kind of a bummer of a letdown.
I did
Slade
like.
appears in an episode, and it's kind of disappointing. He's just
I,
kind of like angry still at Oliver, and they fight him, and that's it.
I did like the thing where while they were gathering around, all the Team Arrow does kill a bunch of League of Assassins people. That was kind of cool to
Yes.
watch. But also, I'm like, Diggle kills a lot with a gun. I'm like, do they just not know guns? Maybe they should all bring guns.
Yeah. Well, arrows are the whole gimmick, Josh. So you
Yeah,
know.
but guns work. It's not like
Yeah.
oh, like they shoot. They don't even shoot back. Bring the guns.
Yeah. But we get the last appearance of the Suicide Squad in season 3 because
Deadshot dies, right?
Deadshot dies in an explosion like a chump, and I'm like, what the hell, guys? Because Warner Brothers was developing the Suicide Squad movie at the time, and they're like, hey, you're not allowed to use these characters anymore. You're not allowed to have the Suicide Squad. It's going to confuse people. So that was it. GG. I'm like, cool, I guess. And then there's a whole storyline where Ra's al Ghul wants Oliver to be his heir, which is very much straight out of Batman. That's exactly what he wants from Batman in the comics and all other media.
He has Nisa marry Oliver.
Yeah, well, first Oliver says no, and then Ra's al Ghul frames Oliver for murder throughout the city, and the cops go after him because Quentin Lance, the detective, finds out that his daughter Sarah was murdered, and Oliver knew who it was and didn't tell him. they also just never let him know that Sarah was killed, so they do Quentin Lance dirty here. And so there's 2 episodes near the end of the season where Team Arrow is on the run from the law, and I think those were pretty good episodes. It was cool to see them desperate and trying to like fight their way out of things and figure out what to do now, because now they're like cornered by the Star City police. But Roy unfortunately gets written off the show because he takes the fall as the Arrow and then he fakes his death in prison and then leaves town. So I'm like, okay, for all intents and purposes in the public eye, the Arrow is dead and it was Roy Harper. And Roy will come back later, but he's gone for a while.
That is this other problem with the shows that like actors would leave, which is a thing with shows, and they would just be written off in like really awkward ways.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh, okay, that's just like Oliver Queen's main sidekick, but whatever. I guess we're
Yeah,
just going to write him off the show.
yeah,
Goodbye, Arsenal. And then there's a whole storyline where Oliver becomes Al Sahim, the heir to Ra's al Ghul, and he's seemingly brainwashed by the League of Assassins. But then it's revealed that he was just under deep cover to take down Ra's al Ghul from the inside, and
yeah,
everyone hates Oliver for keeping secrets, and there's a lot of annoying character drama.
yeah. Felicity's mad he married Nisa.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, he was forced to.
Yeah,
Nisa was forced to.
yeah. Also, I'd rather marry Nisa than Felicity. Fun fact.
Yeah, Nisa Al Ghul, played by Katrina Law, is a fantastic character. I really
Yeah.
love her character in the show. I think Katrina Law is a great actor,
Oh yeah.
and I think she does a fantastic job.
Just like many other actors on the show. I feel this is what allows a lot of these Spartacus actors to break out of Spartacus and go into like other more normal shows.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. Also, like I kind of said this before, Nisa already has drama with Sarah, who Oliver also bangs, and I'm like, it's a messy diagram of who Oliver bangs and who bangs whom.
Yeah, exactly. Even Stephen Amell has said it at cons and stuff. He's like, yeah, everyone that Oliver is not related to, he's slept with.
Even Diggle?
I mean, I'm sure there are moments in the Arrow Cave when things get a little hot and heavy.
You mean the Arrow Quiver?
Of course.
I will say the show does play on it because it does reveal Oliver may have a few bastard children going around.
Yes, in season 2, it is revealed that Oliver did have a kid with a woman that he slept with when he was cheating on Laurel back in the day before he got stranded on that island. And his mom, Moira, actually paid the woman off to never tell Oliver about it and to raise the kid on her own. And that's going to come back into play pretty soon when we talk about season 4. But season 3 ends with Oliver beating Ra's al Ghul, killing him, and then Oliver and Felicity drive off into the sunset, and it's terrible. And it's absolutely awful, and everyone hated it.
This is how you end a season, though. I will say that.
That's not how you end a season. I'm going to drive off into the sunset and quit my life as a vigilante.
That's how so many old westerns end. That's how so many superhero comics technically end before they bring them back.
It was ass.
Yeah, but that's how
It
a lot of
was
things
so
end.
bad.
Just like many of the asses of the actors on the show, it's hard.
Yeah. Well, just when you thought things couldn't get any worse, I remember after season 3 of Arrow thinking, this can't get worse, can it? It can only get better from here, right? Right? Wrong. Because I'll just say, season 4 of Arrow is probably the worst season of television I've ever seen in my entire life. And I stand by that statement. Wendy Miracle came on to be a showrunner with Mark Guggenheim, and they said, oh, we're going for a lighter tone because the last season was so dark. And I'm like, I don't think that was the problem. I think it was the fact that the writing was so bad. But anyways,
Isn't it revealed Oliver and Felicity are like living in like a suburban married life in like Virginia or some kind, just pretending to be like a regular couple?
Yeah, they're just living their retired suburban life. Felicity is now CEO of Queen Consolidated, mainly because she slept with Ray Palmer and then he like had her like sign off on becoming the new CEO.
And he bought up Queen Industries or whatever too, I believe.
Yeah. And so then eventually Oliver and Felicity are called back to Star City by Diggle, Laurel, and Thea. Thea, who is now acting as a vigilante as Red Arrow as of the end of season 3. So they're like, we need the Arrow. And he's like, I'm not the Arrow anymore. I can't be that person. Felicity's like, be a different kind of person. And he becomes the Green Arrow for the first time. And I gotta say, his new costume's pretty cool. I like the Green Arrow costume, the sleeveless look.
I don't like sleeveless, so I like the old Arrow costume.
Sun's out, guns out.
No, I believe in gun control.
That's why you use bow and arrows instead.
Yeah.
Because the guns are so controlled. But like this outfit, I think did at least slightly like inspire the outfit he wears in the comics during the DC Rebirth era. So it's pretty cool for that. Yeah, so then Oliver becomes the Green Arrow, which is, wow, huge difference from the Arrow. He has a different costume, and everyone suddenly believes that like they're two different people. They're like, "Hey, you can't be the Arrow. He's dead. So who are you?" And he's like, "I'm the Green Arrow." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, two different." I'm like, "It's the same guy, you
He
idiots."
does the same voice.
Yeah, he does the same voice. So it's dumb, but they have a lighter tone for like 5 minutes in the show, but like it doesn't last long. They have him quipping a little bit in the first episode, but he never becomes really the Green Arrow from the comics, even though that's what people were kind of hoping for when they said that. But it just don't get your hopes up. It never happens.
And I believe the villain is Damien Dark.
Yes, played by Neil McDonough
Great
really
actor.
well.
Great actor.
Yeah.
Nice guy
He's
too.
so charismatic.
He's a very nice guy. Like by the
Yeah.
way, yeah.
No, exactly. I just think the writing did not do his character any justice. He starts off mainly carried by Neil McDonough's charisma and charm, but like ultimately he's not that great of a villain.
He runs an offshoot of the League of Assassins. It's
Yes,
the
that's
thing,
true.
and Malcolm is slowly taking over the actual league. And I do love the thing where, like, at this point, you get like, oh, Arrow's like the semi-realistic slash not realistic because Oliver at one point jumps up and grabs a motorcycle flying at him. So that's not very realistic. But it's the semi-realistic one to the Flash. But like everyone in Flash is so much scaled up. Occasionally, Flash would just have to intervene and save the characters from Damien Dark, and Damien
Yeah.
Dark admits he just can't do anything about it. But also, Damien Dark and Malcolm, they become Legends of Tomorrow supporting villains, where Reverse Flash turns them into his minions, and they're not used to like being minions to
Yeah.
Reverse Flash.
Well, season 4 of Arrow also serves as a big launching pad for Legends of Tomorrow and a big springboard for that.
Yeah.
Because in season 4 of Arrow, Sarah gets resurrected through the Lazarus Pit
Yeah.
so that she can be on Legends of Tomorrow, really.
Which is a great show, by the way.
Yeah, we can do a separate episode on that because I love Legends of Tomorrow. It's just goofy, fun time travel shenanigans.
Yeah.
And Ray Palmer also returns because he's seemingly blown up at the end of season 3. They find Ray Palmer. I can't remember exactly what happens, but Sarah's brought back, Ray Palmer's brought back, and the crossover in this season is pretty mid, honestly, because that also mainly just serves to set up Legends of Tomorrow.
Is it with the Hawk people?
Yeah, with the Hawk people
Why
who
don't
are
you
like
like the Hawk people? I didn't love it, but I don't know why
they're
everyone
the
hates it.
worst part of Legends of Tomorrow. It's like season 1 was brought down so hard by the Hawk people because they're so boring as characters and like one note. There's nothing interesting about
They're
them.
hot.
They're all hot, Josh. It's the CW. Remember that.
Yeah, they also, I don't know, I like the idea of like lovers, they always resurrect to find each other again. Oh, Vandal Savage is there, I think.
Yeah, and Vandal Savage in this show is a thoroughly uninteresting villain as well.
He does kill Green Arrow until Flash finds out he can reverse time. Because Green
Yes,
Arrow was
that's
distracted
true.
about the fact that his horn dogginess finally came to bite him.
Yes, because season 4 also shows Oliver for the first time. He finds out, like, I had a son years ago and my mom covered it up. And he, like, confronts his baby mama and meets his son for the first time. But, his baby mama tells him, Samantha's her name, she says, you can't tell anyone about him. And so that's the only way she can agree to let him visit his son. And that is a big plot point in the crossover. But overall, the crossover is just kind of in season 4 because it's mainly just there to set up Legends of Tomorrow. But they also get plenty of new characters introduced too in this season. Like Constantine makes an appearance, which is cool because he'd only gotten his one season of his show before it was canceled.
Which was a fun show.
Yeah, I never watched it, but I heard it was pretty good.
I watched all the episodes. It was a very hit or miss episode. You could tell the writing was all over the place, where one episode was made before the rest of the show. And you could tell it. And then they changed casting a few times. No, but Matt Ryan was disservice, and ever since then has been Constantine in every single thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then they brought him into Legends of Tomorrow eventually.
Yeah.
Which was a lot of fun.
Also, we get the worst horny line in the show when we introduce Constantine, because Thea goes like, it's a very particular type of yummy. And I'm like, she has not talked that way before. And who talks like that?
CW people talk like that.
Also, canonically, Constantine in the CW smells bad, so.
He is also bisexual, so he and
bisexual.
Sarah end up hooking up.
Is that why they hook up? Is that they both bond over their bisexuality? Is that why?
No,
I just know they do
both
hook up.
just horn dogs.
Yeah, but I was gonna say Constantine is not a horn dog in the comics, but he kind of is, depending on.
He is. Constantine is such a horn dog. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I read the original Hellblazer. He only. Well, I ignore the horn dogginess.
You overlook that because you love him.
I do love him. I do respect Constantine in the CW because he does what I've always suggested was he time travels back and he goes like, "What are you gonna do?" It's like, "See that happy couple over there? That's my dad. The mom's gonna die in childbirth with me. So to give them a happy life and so I'm never born, I'm gonna kick them really hard in the balls." Which is like, just I've made jokes about that before. Constantine is the only man who was willing to carry it out.
Yeah, man, I love him.
Yeah,
We also get an introduction to Vixen, which is pretty cool. She makes an appearance, which is great. And
I
then they
believe,
give her like an animated show later.
and her mom appears in Legends of Tomorrow, I believe.
Or her grandmother, I think, is in Legends of Tomorrow because they pluck her right out of World War II, where they introduce the Justice Society.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you also get introductions to smaller villains like Anarchy.
who was a Batman villain.
Yeah, also a Batman villain. They bring in another Batman villain. And then you also get people are getting code names left and right in this season. Diggle is called Spartan, and I don't really like it because he's Diggle. He
That's
doesn't need a
because you don't
code
like
name.
Michigan.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
Yeah,
Because
you
I
don't.
knew that was connected to Michigan.
It's famously connected to Michigan State. Go Spartans. Woo, woo, woo.
Well, I prefer to go Diggles, all right? I love Diggle. But he gets this helmet, and this helmet is so awful. There were like Magneto jokes coming on about it because like it looked so bad that they had to change it by this fifth season when they brought him back because they needed a new look for him because it was
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
And then Felicity is called Overwatch, like the game. I think Oliver even makes a joke like I was going to say Oracle, but that's taken, which is a fun reference. But that's also like, wait a minute, that raises more questions than answers. Barbara Gordon's in this universe?
Well,
Does that mean
she
Batman's
is.
there?
Well, she is. We find out that Batman, played by Kevin Conroy, is technically in this universe.
Well, they go to a different universe. That's like Kingdom Come Batman.
Yeah, but we know that Batman is like consistent throughout these universes. But also, Oliver does not know about the existence of Batman yet. But
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. Laurel just dies after she gets that thing on her neck that lets her to do the sonic scream.
Well, here's what happens. So the whole season, ever since the first episode of season 4, they tease that someone is dead and someone's gonna die because it shows a flash forward to Oliver standing in front of someone's grave and someone has died and he says he's going to kill somebody for doing something. And here's the thing, we as the audience don't know who died, and that's the mystery of the season. But also, the showrunners, I'll have you know, did not know who was going to die that season either until right before they made the decision, right before they wrote the episode, because they just set up a mystery that they didn't even know the answer to. And it's so unsatisfying because Laurel is given no focus in this whole season. They totally ignore Black Canary for most of this. And then near the end of the season, they're like, she's the one in the grave. And they kill her off very unceremoniously.
They do give her finally the sonic scream powers we always wanted, though.
Yeah, they give her a device. I think because Sarah has a similar device, but then Laurel goes to Cisco from The Flash and has him fix it up for her so she can use a sonic scream. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, talking of magic, because Damien Dark is a very much a magic character.
Well, there is a lot of magic in season 4, and that's also where I think it jumps the shark because that's just not what that show is.
Yeah.
And so they have Oliver learning magic to beat Damien Dark. And I'm like, at what point did anyone ask for this? At what point did anyone say, yeah, that's what the show needs, more magic? It's dumb. The thing that made Arrow different was that it was the grounded, gritty, darker show. And if you just make it more supernatural, then it becomes more like The Flash, and they all just become very samey, very similar shows.
I think it's always been the problem with any comic medium is that like you have these grounded characters, these grounded sectors of the universe. In the back of your mind, you always know, like, oh, at any time you could call in Superman or Spider-Man to fix things up a bit, and you don't.
Yeah, and very similarly, you could call in the Flash to solve all your problems.
Because he could do things in a flash. I forgot, in Season 3, he could have saved everyone from Ra's al Ghul, because he beats up most of the League of Assassins in, like, a minute.
Yeah, but he's like, sorry, I gotta go talk to Professor Wells because he killed my mom.
Imagine, he doesn't even say that. Like, they don't know the backstory of Harrison Wells. They just go like,
yeah.
Flash, you're not going to help us because you just kicked everyone's ass in like a minute. Stay around for another minute. Slap around Ra's al Ghul a bit. You'd win.
Yeah, he would easily destroy everyone, but that's the thing. And if we do a Flash episode, we'll get into it because Barry Allen is nerfed to hell in this show. Because he has to be, because otherwise he solves everyone's problems.
Yeah, I will say Arrow, in that, as his darker version does appear in The Flash, where he also gets his ass kicked by Harrison Wells. Reverse Flash,
yeah.
so yeah.
But Yeah, season 4 also shows, yeah, Felicity becomes CEO of Clean Consolidated, and that's where she meets Curtis, who will become Mr. Terrific later, and he's kind of annoying. And Felicity, halfway through the season, here's where it gets really dumb, is put in a wheelchair, and then Curtis makes a device eventually that will help her over time through physical therapy walk again. And then there's this whole drama about Oliver having this secret kid from years ago. Felicity is pissed about it because I don't know why, because she didn't know about it.
Well, I feel that one is not that unrealistic. I feel a lot of people, if you're dating someone, you just reveal at the middle of the relationship, hey, I have a kid from another relationship, they're gonna be pissed. And they're not gonna believe you when you say, I didn't know about this kid.
Well, he didn't know. And also, the mom made him swear to secrecy, and that was the only way he could see his kids. So maybe you should understand that. And here's where it gets really dumb, because then the dramatic moment is that she gets up and literally walks out on Oliver, out of her wheelchair, when she breaks up with him. And it is so awful. This is
Okay.
such a terrible, infamous scene from the show.
In the movie Pearl Harbor, there's a scene where FDR finds out about Pearl Harbor and he gets up out of his wheelchair to declare war. Is that unrealistic and stupid?
That's also kind of hokey and cheesy. You get up just to show dramatically that you're taking a stand or walking out.
Yes.
Anyways, after they killed Laurel, I kind of just checked out of this season because I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Oh, yeah. I do remember he becomes mayor at the end of the season, though.
Yeah, Oliver is elected mayor of Star City after saving everyone from Damien Dark as Green Arrow.
Even though, unlike the people of the city don't know who you are, why would they elect some random dickish playboy to be mayor?
Because in the season finale, he makes a big speech as Oliver Queen to the city and gives them hope when during the threat of nuclear war or whatever. And then they're like, make him mayor. It's dumb. At the end of the season, literally everyone leaves Team Arrow except Felicity. So it's just Oliver and Felicity. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So it's dumb. But season 5 honestly makes a huge comeback, like an insane comeback, because they literally like had a come to Jesus moment, it felt like, because everything feels much more grounded. It feels much more like an intentional callback to season 1. This is also the last season of the flashbacks, mind you. It's much grittier, it's much darker. Oliver is in a darker place after losing Laurel and most of his team leaving. So he's like killing again. And his costume has sleeves now, because I guess he was cold.
I like sleeves. I hate the guns out, buns out.
Well, he doesn't have them anymore.
Thank you.
And, yeah. And then Team Arrow becomes like a bunch of recruits. Curtis becomes Mr. Terrific. They get Artemis, they get Wild Dog, Ragman, and later a new Black Canary who is also named Dinah. Because why not?
I also must point out that Ragman, they just write him out of the show because at one point all his rags die. He's originally a guy in a cursed villain suit that Oliver decides to mentor. And then Ragman loses all his powers when they want to write him out. Mr. Terrific, in case you're wondering how a nerd who worked for Felicity is able to be a vigilante, they casually throw in he used to be an Olympian.
Yeah, just very casually, he used to be an Olympic athlete.
Which is why he's ripped, like everyone else.
But he also sucks at fighting in this show, so he has to develop his T-spheres to help him fight.
Yeah.
And Ragman is written off like halfway through the season, also probably because of the Barry Allen problem where he's just too OP and they didn't know how to write him. They have some cool villains for this season too, which really steps their game up. Like they have Tobias Church for the first several episodes, who's a good street level gang boss villain, and then they introduce some cool characters like Vigilante and the Human Target in there. Like even the flashbacks get to be grittier and more hardcore. The flashbacks in season 5 are during Oliver's time in the Bratva in the Russian mob, and Dolph Lundgren comes in. Big movie star Dolph Lundgren as like the big bad of that part of the season of the flashbacks.
He went from like movies to Rocky to Arrow.
Yeah, he does a stellar job here too as the big mob boss.
Yeah, I think it's also because the guy for Damien Dark and John Barrowman for Malcolm Merlin mostly went to Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. Also, the big villain of this season is Prometheus, who's very different from the comics.
He's a Batman villain, isn't he?
He's a Justice League villain.
Okay.
Also kind of a Batman villain, but
yeah,
he has faced Green Arrow in the comics. Green Arrow actually killed him in the comics.
Nice.
But
so that's a little. I also gotta say, if you're gonna bring in, I know you said Prometheus is a Justice League villain, but we brought in so many Batman villains. Also, Captain Boomerang, I think, is more of an Arrow villain than a Flash villain in this universe, I believe.
Well, he mainly shows up on the Arrow side of the Flash Arrow crossover. So yeah, but
yeah.
The action for season 5 is way better. The story overall is way better. There's still dumb CW character drama, but it's still a huge step up from season 3 and 4. I don't think season 5 gets to the same level of quality as season 1 and 2, but it's such a big comeback. And there's this really smart reveal in episode 15 or something about identity, which came at a very unexpected moment. And I love that reveal for that. I love that they didn't do it in a mid-season finale. They didn't do it in episode of 2 before the season finale. They just did it in a random episode in the middle of the season. I'm like, you totally took me by surprise, and that was such a smart move.
Yeah.
But Prometheus is just played by Josh Segarra, going by Adrian Chase. That's another big fake out, is that Adrian Chase is the name of Vigilante in the comics. They introduced Vigilante and they made us think at first, based on our expectations, oh, that's Vigilante. Nope, Adrian Chase was actually an alias that this guy was using, and he's really Prometheus.
And we all know Adrian Chase now because he was in Peacemaker.
Yes, Vigilante was also in Peacemaker, who is Adrian Chase in that one. But I think one of my favorite episodes of season 5 is definitely when they have Prometheus capture Oliver and like torture him and like have him confront his past as a killer and as someone who is kind of addicted to violence, honestly. He makes Oliver confess that he wanted to kill all those people and he liked it, which isn't
Nice.
necessarily true, but I'm sure there is a little truth to that.
Yeah.
And that episode's also great because it shows Oliver becoming more of the Arrow in the flashbacks when he takes on Dolph Lundgren as Oliver in the Hood. And it shows him delving more into darkness in his past. And I think generally season 5 of Arrow does a good job of having Oliver reckon with who he's been, especially reckon with his demons in the past from season 1 when he was going around killing people.
Well, I do like that it's darker from what you told me. I think the problem with that is that, like, so all these years of being a hero and fighting for the innocent has not had this impact on you, and instead of becoming a lighter person, and because I feel the whole thing with Green Arrow is like he's fighting specifically for the little guy. It's his thing, and like to a certain degree, Green Arrow helps him psychologically because he truly believes he's fighting for the innocent, and then as opposed to just killing. And here it seems like, well, he's not had a lot of growth. He's just, if anything, it's reverse growth. He loves killing it.
Well, that's the whole thing with the show, right? He backslides sometimes, he makes progress some other times, he struggles. It's not like a linear sense of progress. I think he has grown. The whole point of season 5 is showing he has grown, but he also does have some demons in his past that still haunt him, and he also does struggle not to like backslide into his old ways, you know?
Yeah.
And that episode where Prometheus tortures Oliver hits him so hard that he even gives up being Green Arrow for a bit before eventually like coming back and deciding to take down Prometheus. And like the finale for season 5 on Lian Yu is so perfect. It ends things where it began. It has Prometheus challenge Oliver on the island, has all of Oliver's like allies and some of his enemies like Malcolm Merlin there. And it features the return of Deathstroke too. When I heard that teaser, that voice of Manu Bennett going, "Hey kid, I'm glad you came back," I was so hyped. I was like, Deathstroke's coming back. And it was such a good return, especially after his lame appearance in season 3. But yeah, the ending of Arrow season 5 I think is really great, just ending it where it began. And I think Lian Yu is like one of my favorite episodes of the series. It really ties things up neatly, and I think it like finishes up the flashbacks pretty well. This season also introduces Talia al Ghul, which is pretty cool.
She's like a very much a Batman-centric character. What is her thing here?
Talia in Arrow is really just a plot device, I feel like, to speed along Oliver's progression in the flashbacks, because the flashbacks in season 3 and 4 also lost the plot, where like he's like hanging around in Hong Kong with Katana. And season 4, the flashbacks really lose the plot because then they're like back on the island and he's like learning more magical related stuff, and it's weird. There's like a work camp there. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But season 5, Talia's in the flashbacks and she like trains him some more and gives him some more gear to get started as the Hood properly. Yeah. And so that's where it comes in.
Isn't it revealed later in Batwoman that like this Talia actually did have a thing with Bruce Wayne at one point, or?
I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
She did, if he exists in this universe.
He does exist in this universe because of Batwoman.
Of course.
Yeah.
But Talia then appears in the present day and she teams up with Adrian Chase, aka Prometheus, against Oliver. And she faces off with her sister Nisa, and Nisa curb stomps her, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah. What do you think of Talia in the show? Like, do you think she's even necessary in this so far Batman-less universe?
She's really just there to help Oliver along in becoming the Hood. That's really her necessary motivation. And also to side with Adrian Chase against him because Oliver killed her father. But that's
Yeah.
really it. There's not really much else she does.
Yeah.
Also, it's worth noting season 5 brings back Black Siren, who is Earth 2 Laurel Lance, into the show midway through the season because I guess they felt bad about killing off Laurel and wanted to apologize to Katie Cassidy. So they brought her back
That's
as
my
Earth 2 Laurel.
this has always been my problem with Arrow. They just go through these convoluted things of like, oh, Arrow dies as Green Arrow now, or like they just kill off these cast members randomly and then they bring them back.
Yeah, I used to watch the show with one of my high school friends, and I remember his dad saying, like, one of my favorite things about Arrow is that no one dies. Like, they always come back somehow. No one ever really dies.
To be fair, that is very comic accurate.
Yeah, that's very true to Marvel DC Comics. No one stays dead.
So that is something I feel like some people do like about the comic mediums is that outside of the comics, these movies, is that you're supposed to stay dead, so the stakes are a bit more tangible. But I guess not.
Yeah, well, look at Avengers Doomsday. Anyways.
That's different. That's different, and you know it.
Well, going into season 6 and 7, I think this is where I like really fell off Arrow because I watched the first few episodes of season 6. First of all, season 5 ends with Prometheus blowing up Lian Yu with everyone else on it, and Oliver watches as like almost everyone he knows is seemingly killed. But really, what it's revealed, the only ones who died are Samantha, Oliver's baby mama, dies, and Thea ends up in a coma, and Thea wakes up from that coma a few episodes later in the season. And so that means that William, Oliver's son, is without a mother, so he takes up being a father, and so he gives up being Green Arrow so he can be a dad and be the mayor, and then he and Felicity get back together, which gross.
Look, it's one of those things like Paul. Once it happens, you can't undo it. It's there. You're just gonna end this relationship because the fans hate it.
I've come to the conclusion that Felicity is the Paul of the Arrowverse. That's what I found out, and I hate them both probably about the same level. At least Paul dies.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
They had the decency to kill off Paul.
We didn't need to kill off Paul. That's my take. Look, once it happens, it's there. You just keep the characters going. You can't just end this relationship just for the sake of ending it, you know?
Yeah, and so in the Arrowverse, Felicity, I guess, is Oliver Queen's one true love, which is insane.
Yeah, well, it's too late. You shouldn't have done it, but you did it, so just keep going.
And they did.
Also, does he ever divorce Nisa?
Not technically. So he's already married.
Yeah, he's a bigamist and has with a baby mom. If we in the future go like, because I do know apparently there's like a scene in Flash where Reverse Flash is beating the shit out of Oliver and goes like, "Hey, the textbooks say you die at 73." We're gonna read a textbook of Oliver Queen going like, he was a horn dog. He married his IT lady. He murdered a bunch of people. He got a woman pregnant and ditched her.
He slept with like everyone he's ever met.
He also never divorced his actual wife, like Steven Seagal.
Yeah, he married a lesbian and never divorced her.
Also, look, I would rather marry Nisa Al Ghul. She seems more likable as a person.
Well, Nisa prefers women anyways, so it wouldn't work out.
She never divorced Oliver, just saying.
Then Diggle becomes the new Green Arrow, and he looks like an absolute unit in this Green Arrow suit. He's massive. But then there's more bad character drama throughout the season because Diggle has like this injury where his hands keep shaking and he's got tremors and he's lying to everyone about it. He also like starts like taking drugs to like stop the tremors from the main villain of the season, Ricardo Diaz, aka Richard Dragon from the comics.
He's the villain?
Yeah, and he's okay. The actor gives a good performance, but the villain's fine. He's just a random like crime boss, honestly. There's some standout episodes, like early in the season, Oliver and Slade team up so that Oliver can help Slade find his son Joe, which is a good couple episodes. I really enjoyed those. The crossover is really great, where Flash, Arrow, and the Legends all team up to fight Nazis from Earth X. And then afterwards, Barry and Iris get married, and then Oliver and Felicity decide to just join in and get double married with them, which is like
kind of obnoxious.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of rude, but whatever. I think they even throw shade at it in the Flash when Iris kind of like shades them for it.
I'm glad because Barry's kind of like a doormat for a lot of this universe, and Iris is like the one person that like goes like, "Hey, ever consider that's a dick move by some rich asshole?"
Yeah, maybe don't crash our wedding.
Yeah, he's like the Taylor Swift, where you just take out all that space.
Yeah, Oliver Queen is.
Yeah. Also, Sarah Lance bangs characters from the Supergirl universe.
That's true, like Supergirl's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. Throughout season 6, there's an FBI agent trying to expose Oliver as the Green Arrow, and eventually the season ends with Oliver eventually just turning himself in and revealing his identity to the public.
Doesn't the government already know he's Green Arrow because of Argus?
I guess technically, but he publicly reveals his identity to everyone.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of pointless drama that I heard about throughout this season. There's a lot of division, like old Team Arrow versus new Team Arrow. There's like a civil war. Oliver and Diggle start fighting for basically no reason. It's a lot of just fighting and character drama without any actual character basis to back it up. And yeah, at the end of the season, Quentin Lance dies so that he can save Black Siren, the alternate Earth version of his daughter, and it's kind of devastating. I've seen the scene where Oliver's talking to Quentin in the hospital, and it breaks my heart because Quentin really was Oliver's father figure throughout the series. And then the first half of season 7 is a really good prison storyline where Oliver is in prison and beating people up in the Supermax, which is really fun. And then after that, when he gets out, it's kind of okay. It's like his identity is public now. He's trying to work with the cops as Green Arrow, like in public. There's also Emiko, Oliver's half sister from the comics, gets introduced, and it's fine.
So this guy only has half sisters. Now, is it his dad or his mom at this point?
His dad, which is how it is in the comics too.
Horn dogs, all of them.
At the end of the season 2, Oliver and Felicity have a daughter. The crossover is called Elseworlds, but it's really about Oliver and Barry basically like swapping
Switching
places,
I
like
did see
Freaky
this
Friday.
episode. Yeah, I did like the fact that Barry tortures Oliver for once, just to show him what it feels like. And Oliver
Yeah, when
hates
he
it.
shoots him in the back, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly the way Oliver did to Barry in the first crossover.
yeah.
It's a fun callback. And I love the crossovers for that. I love the character interactions. I love how it's basically this one is Supergirl babysitting Oliver and Barry as they're trying to figure out what will happen and why they switched lives.
In case the audience wondering why we're talking about Supergirl all of a sudden. By the way, the CW universe bought the Supergirl show from CBS, so Supergirl is now in the CW universe, but not really in the universe because she exists in another universe within the universe.
Yeah, their first crossover was in season 5 of Arrow. It was the Invasion crossover.
Yeah.
When they fight the Dominators and Supergirl comes over from another universe.
Yeah. And Sarah Lance horn dogs over Supergirl.
But the final season is only 10 episodes as opposed to the standard like 23 episode season they have.
Yeah.
Honestly, most of it is a direct lead in to Crisis on Infinite Earths, where Oliver is going on missions for the Monitor to prepare for the incoming crisis. The final season of Arrow is really like a love letter to the series. It's a stroll down memory lane where you go to all the familiar places. He goes to Hong Kong, he goes to Russia, he goes back to Lian again, teams up with Thea, his sister, one more time, has a beautiful episode about Detective Lance. The first few episodes of the final season have flash forwards to Star City in 2040 with Oliver's kids. And then eventually they're brought by the Monitor to the present day. And so he teams up with his kids from the future. Mia is his daughter, and then his son, William. And so, yeah, for the first chunk of season 8, it's like a preparation for Crisis. Episode 8 of the season is part of the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. And then episodes 9 and 10 deal with the aftermath. Episode 9 was also supposed to lead into a spin-off show called Green Arrow and the Canaries, but that never happened, unfortunately.
Do you think it's because the quality of the show just to a certain degree did drop?
I think the network just didn't pick it up, honestly. And honestly, I'm fine with that.
What would have it even have been about, like Green Arrow and the Canaries?
It would have been about Green Arrow's daughter Mia as the new Green Arrow in Star City in 2040, and she would have been teaming up with Laurel and Dinah, the two Black Canaries.
But they're old now.
I mean, they're still in shape. And let me go into exactly how Black Canary got screwed over in this show, because this is why it's confusing. Because at the beginning, Laurel just goes by Laurel, not her full name, Dinah Laurel Lance. Her name's Dinah in the comics, and she starts off and she's just a lawyer, like Rachel from the Dark Knight trilogy. Then they introduce Sarah, her sister, who is more like Black Canary, and she has the similar outfit from the comics. They kill Sarah, make Laurel an amateur Black Canary after that. Sarah gets resurrected and put into Legends of Tomorrow as the White Canary. Laurel's killed off in season 4, and then in season 5, Dinah Drake is brought in as the new Black Canary. Then in season 5, they also bring in Black Siren, Laurel from Earth 2. So You get what I mean when I say Black Canary gets majorly screwed over in this show. Because what the fuck is going on? Will the real Black Canary please stand up? This is insane. So that sucks. And on a more positive note, I love Diggle. And I love that they introduced Diggle in this because John Diggle, he's named after Andy Diggle, who wrote Green Arrow Year One, which is a nice nod.
Yeah.
And his brother is also named Andy, which is really funny. John
Yeah.
Diggle's brother in the show. And Diggle was then brought into the comics during the Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino run of Green Arrow in the New 52. And he's been there ever since. And I just love Diggle. I think he's a great partner, a great backup, a great moral compass for Oliver. And I think he's a fantastic character. I think David Ramsey plays him wonderfully. He's just such a great addition to the Green Arrow lore, and I'm glad they brought him into the comics from there. They also, fun fact, tried to incorporate Felicity into the Green Arrow comics in a run on the character done by Andrew Kreisberg, one of the showrunners for Arrow at the beginning, and it did not go well.
Oh, people hated her?
It was, yeah. The run was just not well received. It was kind of a forgettable kind of mid run on Green Arrow, and then they kind of quickly forgot about it afterwards. So
Ooh.
it was a nice try, but they did not make the Arrow comics like the show.
I will say they also had Stephen Amell show up as a voice on Injustice. Fun fact, you could actually pay to have him dub Green Arrow's lines.
Yeah, I remember that. That was really cool. I'm glad they did that. I
Yeah.
played as his version of Green Arrow in the Injustice game.
Of course you
It was
fucking
fun.
Of
I like
course
to
you
hear
did.
him say the lines in the Arrow voice with the grease paint on his face.
Yeah, but like the costume works, but the voice is like just so serious, and Green Arrow in that game is much more silly. You really want to hear Stephen Amell go, "Grande, say fire bad." It just doesn't have the same ring.
I thought it's funny to hear him say it in the serious Batman like Arrow voice anyways. So
yeah, I would also say towards the end, the show was aware of some of the stuff. Like they make fun of his horn dogginess, where they go like, "I have a contact in Gotham," and Supergirl asks him like, "Is it because you banged her?" And the answer is yes.
yeah, there's a joke in the Elseworlds crossover when Barry calls Oliver out when he's like, "Do you think that's bad? Oliver went on the yacht and cheated on his girlfriend with her sister." And Supergirl's like, "Whoa!" And Oliver's like, "Barry," and he's like, "What? You did?"
Doesn't Oliver become a god at the end? He becomes Spectre, no?
Yeah, he becomes the Spectre in Crisis on Infinite Earths. He dies and then is made into the Spectre, and then he saves all of reality from the Anti-Monitor. And then he also uses his powers to bring back so many people he's lost from the dead. So Quentin's brought back, Moira's brought back, Tommy's brought back. It's a bit of a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. And is that how this show ends? It's just everyone's back and happy?
Pretty much. I think Felicity is then brought at a certain point to see Oliver by the Monitor, like years down the road.
And that's just the ending of the show, is that Oliver's a god.
That's really it, yeah. So we kind of did lose the plot. I feel like if they had stuck with the original plan, but of course there's no way they would have just ended after 5 seasons, especially because Arrow inspired so many other spin-off shows like The Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, then you've got Black Lightning, Batwoman, Stargirl, yada yada, all these like Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
So, and like Arrow was pretty successful, so of course they were going to keep it going until they decided it was time. But yeah, he becomes a god pretty much. He becomes the Spectre.
This is like so reminiscent of so many other CW shows. I have not seen Riverdale, but from what I'm aware, it is like a regular high school drama show that ends with like a character becoming a lesbian witch using specifically lesbian powers to save the city.
Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of that. So maybe it's just typical for CW. But the problem is, like, you could do this with Legends or Flash. It's just as odd to do it with Arrow of all things. So.
Yeah, it does go off the rails and it loses the plot. I ultimately enjoy seasons 1, 2, and 5. The rest is like, like. And I will say, even if it isn't strictly speaking a Green Arrow show, even if it gets the character wrong in so many respects, I'm thankful for this show for introducing me to the character and getting me to go in and read the Green Arrow comics. That's what I think ultimately comic book media should be good for doing, is like getting people interested and getting them curious enough to go and read the comics. Earlier I was complaining in another episode about the Supergirl movie, but I think if that gets people excited and interested enough to go in and like read the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic, I think that'll be a win. And I think it's
Yeah.
the same thing with Arrow. I went in and I read the Green Arrow comics and I became a huge Green Arrow fan, recognizing that Arrow was not really a Green Arrow show, but still enjoying it all the same.
I think we should also bring up our favorite topic, Scimitar, which we forgot.
But yeah, we forgot to mention, this is the funniest thing ever. In season 5 of Arrow, they brought in a character called Scimitar, who one of the showrunners, Wendy Miracle, was bragging that was like a big character in the DC universe. And the funny thing is, Scimitar is not a character in the DC universe. Scimitar is a character in the Marvel universe, and a character who's had like 7 appearances. He was like an Iron Fist villain. He was like a mercenary sent to kill Iron Fist one time in the 70s.
The thing I don't know is, like, how did you even find this character? Like, for some, you go like, oh, James Gunn found some weird, obscure characters for this show or movie. You go like, okay, but James Gunn's a huge nerd. If he doesn't know, he can easily find it. But I go like, Wendy Miracle, like, you didn't know this was a different franchise, and you found like the most obscure thing from this other franchise. How?
I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't claim to know a lot about the comics and claim you brought someone in big from the comics if you don't even know that this is not a DC Comics character at all.
And it's funny because Marvel didn't even bother to sue.
Because it's like, who fucking cares? It's Scimitar. It's not like you fucking brought Apocalypse or, I don't know, Magneto into this. This isn't Doctor Doom. This is Scimitar. Who gives a fuck? You didn't even bring in like a Spider-Man villain. You didn't even bring in like the Lizard. I don't know. Someone B tier. It's not like they brought in the Chameleon.
Yeah.
Ultimately, love-hate relationship with Arrow. More good than bad, but plenty of bad.
Yeah. Had a very toxic fan base on 2 sides because half the fans hated the shit out of the show, like you. Well, and only in retrospect acknowledging some of the benefits. And half the fans were like threatening anyone who would threaten Felicity.
That's true. So,
yeah.
What a way
I know
for the show to be remembered. Any final thoughts, Josh?
No, but I think first of all, this is one of our longest episodes ever because you had a lot of thoughts on this.
Yes, I did.
It's also like maybe it's like a CW thing. The show did go off the rails. It was a show about something else, and then just went in a completely different direction that we just didn't expect. It went from like a gritty Black Batman ripoff to like a romance show about Felicity. Like I knew people who watched the shit out of the show just for the Felicity shipping, and towards the end, he's like God who fixes everything,
It's insane. It really lost the plot. It lost its vision for what it was, especially in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, they tried to course correct and go back to that in season 5, but then after that, it just went off the rails once again.
You know who he, as a god, should have brought back?
Who?
All the people he killed. Maybe he should be sorry.
He's like, no, they were bad people. Fuck them.
Some of them weren't bad people. Some of them were just like a random warehouse worker. He just pumped full of arrows to torture.
It's fine. I'm sure in the cosmic scales of things, it's all balanced out.
I'm not okay with this. With this poor warehouse guy or this barista he just murdered.
A barista? He didn't murder any baristas. Now you're just making shit up.
If he murdered a warehouse guy, what's next? A barista? An Uber driver? A cab driver?
Where does it end?
Where does it end? That's a Batman quote, I think. If you kill one, where does it end?
But until next time, Josh, where can our listeners get in touch with us if they want to talk to us about the podcast, comics we read, comics in general, or pretty much anything else?
Where you could always reach us, ultimatecomicspodcast@gmail.com. That's comics plural, podcast singular.
That's right. And you can also reach out to us on social media. We're at Ultimate Comics Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, where we have full episodes with video of this podcast. But next time we will get back to Ultimate X-Men, where I think we're going to be talking about Ultimate X-Men Annual number 2, along with Ultimate X-Men 73 through 75. But until then, everyone, take care and make mine Ultimate Comics. Bye.